Hey there, Alex here. Welcome to part 4 on this series that I've been doing on the 144 codes. What we're really on this twin flame journey for. If you're new here, just know that this is a part 4 and there's a few other big foundational pieces to try to create an understanding of the landscape of what this journey is all about. This return to wholeness, this return to unity. We are on an in-breath return to God right now, source consciousness, as I like to call it. And we've already lived a huge extension as far as we could out into the 3D world. In the out breath, we are on the in breath. We're on the return back. And that's why so many of us have been activated and turned on to this journey in order to come back into that wholeness. It's not that we've lost the wholeness, it's that we've just extended out as far as we can. And we've, in some ways, in a way, you could say, lost our way a bit in the shadow because of the choices we've been able to make over eons with the free will, the free will of choice to go with the ego, that identification with form, or to go with source. And every time that we choose with ego, we would have moments of correction, right? And, getting a little bitch slap from the universe to get back in line, but still we could lose our way. It really got in the weeds. And of course, the interference that I've talked about in some of the past videos as well, that would also continue to create more and more distortion so that we lost our way in a way. So that veil of forgetting to come here and have this experience kind of got out of hand. We're on the return now. And if you've met a twin or a split soul twin, then it means that you really initiated this. You set this up in this lifetime to really return home. And so there's a landscape to this. There's a big picture to this. And all of the teaching that I've been doing has been in effort to help you to see that landscape, understand the territory, the map, if you will, so we can stay out of the weeds. Now, the weeds to me is when we get stuck in the 3D, 4D of the emotionality and the mental stuff. But it doesn't mean we don't need to know where we're going and what this whole thing is about. And so, as I always say, this disclaimer is it's not that you need to understand all these concepts, but my soul to your soul, my tonality to yours, my frequency to yours, I'm helping you remember. So you don't have to understand all the concepts, but remembering, oh, yes, that's right. We're putting this back together and we're in this collective together and we're remembering together. So the information that's come to me has been partially from studies, partially from things that just come up, and a lot of downloads and a lot of visuals that come in the middle of the night. And there's more coming through, more and more and more. And it's overwhelming at times because I don't feel led to share with you all of the things that have been shared and taught that are being taught well by a few good teachers out there. I'm kind of a hacker, trying to figure out what do we not know about this yet? What's something that can help us to understand and navigate this thing faster and without getting, again, lost in the weeds. So I'm saying we're moving into soul, but in a sense, I mean, soul's always with us, trying to be experienced through us. But as I've shown in these last few videos, we get trapped up. We haven't been able to unlock these dimensions in order to experience the living as soul and being the vessel for soul. And so there's a lot I want to share here. This may be a bit longer because, again, I'm just trying to, in this one video, wrap it all up in a big bow. And then you can go back to some of the metaphysical stuff that I'm teaching, the quantum stuff, so that, again, you can slowly piece this thing together to remember this journey so that when things get tricky and want to pull you down into the 3D, 4D realm of the mind and the emotions, which it will, right? It's just part of letting go of the shadow, that you can anchor yourself back into the energetics because it's all about the energy here. So yes, absolutely staying in the present moment, managing your moments, moment to moment. That is the simplicity of what we need to do in terms of simple. Stay in the now, stay out of the past, stay out of the future, harmonizing the left, right hemisphere, the mental and the intuitive, or the logical and the intuitive, as well as the brain and the heart, harmonizing that. You can do a lot of that through breath work, taking a pause in the present moment to feel what's going on, and then to ask for the revelation. Like, this is just the mastery of the moment, constant moment to moment. You are totally equipped to do this. The key is to not allow ourselves to get dragged down into the stories, because that's the habit of the mind. We experience something and we tell a story about it, and then we re-experience and remember some history thing, rewrite something that happened in our quote unquote past. We bring it back to life again, and then we suffer again. So that resistance to allowing it to pass through whatever's coming to us, whatever's triggering us, whatever's causing a feeling of closure energetically in the system, because it's unlike how source sees it, rather than allowing that to just dissipate itself out, we often will tell the story about it, look into it, or try to hang on to something because we just loved that experience, and then we ruminate on that experience. And either way, we get in the mind, we tell the stories, we want to control it. And again, the attraction and aversion within us to regulate our nervous system and feel quote unquote good, all this judgment, calling something good or bad, or I want this, I don't want that, I prefer it to look like this, I don't like that. All of this stuff is of the mind. And to learn to be in the moment and allow each moment to pass through, everything's going to get hit. Eventually, every bit of your shadow will get hit, come up to be cleared. And that's going to come from all different areas of your life. So let's focus back on this journey. What's going on here? What's the big picture of this map? You as a soul stream, before you came into this time-space matrix, it is a 15-sphere time-space matrix. I always show you the 12 part because this is the part that's, it's not the sound. The sound and light fields are the 13, 14, and 15. That's that other aspect of this. Those are the solar rishi fields. We actually come in from there to the avatar level. And at that avatar level, that massive amount of creating of consciousness that's coming in is a field, and it comes in as 12 avatars. Okay, and you can look at these in some ways as religions or that were then born from there, but nonetheless, these 12 avatars that make up that one huge field of consciousness from the solar rishi highest levels. Those 12 avatar levels are not actually beings yet. They're still a collective group. Those come through each of those 12 into 12 oversouls. That's when we're getting into the actual embodiment is starting at this point. This is where the consciousness enters the soul at the oversoul level. There's 12 oversouls to one avatar. Again, 12 avatars to that solar rishi consciousness. This is all you, by the way. So we are a part of these higher stations of identity. Those 12 oversouls, each of those have 12 souls to them. And then those 12 souls each have 12 incarnates. Okay. And then those 12 incarnates also each have 12 possible incarnates that do not have any soul embodiment yet. So each of these different levels has a different number of strands of DNA that have been that are completed. And so we are rebuilding these 144 soul parts to that oversoul. Okay, the 144 souls. They come together and then they share codes to reassemble the coding to get to that next level. Then they reassemble to get to the next level. And what's happening in this reassembly is we're clearing the shadow. We are integrating that. We are integrating all distortions, and we are accreting the fire letters, the codes, and so on, which I shared in another one, in order to reassemble the entron DNA, the 12-stranded DNA, to be able to absorb, if you will, on that return back to source. We're all coming together in a return back to source. Now, I want to focus a little bit again on where we are right now, which is largely moving from harmonic universe number 1, which is dimension 1, 2, 3, that's the physical, into the non-physical dimensions 4, 5, and 6. Dimension 4, again, is the astral realm. There's lower astral where we get a lot of messing around. We are getting messed with on many other levels, all the way up to 11 and a half, dimension 11 and a half. There's distortions all the way up to there. But nonetheless, a good large amount of it is happening in the 4th dimension. We get lost there a lot in that 4th dimension. 5th dimension and 6th dimension. 6th dimension is when you're really aligning with all these possible timelines that are living out in the opposite of what you're choosing to live out here in the 3D. So when you're on that 5D plane of observation of all right now, that would be considered Tara. So we live on Earth, but this is the Tara level. 7D is Gaia. 7D is the whole picture. It's the whole completion, if you will, like the flower on a plant, right? It's the completion of what your soul has decided as an architect to come in here to create. That's the 7D version. That's Gaia. Okay. 6D is all the timelines that have been created. There's actually one solid source stream timeline that you were born with that would have been in a perfect world, come through the dimensions and into 3D. Of course, we've had to downstep. There's so much frequency in these high consciousness. We're just downstepping to get into the density of this body. But we are elevating the body in order to handle these frequencies, to embody a soul that is who we are, but to bring it and anchor it into the body. That is what this journey is about. This is going to be long, but I'm hoping that this is going to sink in. You might need to listen to it a few times. What happens though is rather than coming straight down that 6D line of that highest timeline through the 5D and then creating through the 4D of time and space and anchoring it into the mental, emotional, and physical, there's way too much distortion that went on in that free will where we start choosing otherwise. And every time we would make a choice in the 6D would be another timeline created. Right? Another possibility created to get back to source. And then we would choose this way. And then there's more timelines that are created and then more and more. So you have all these infinite timelines that can bring you back to source based on all the different places where you have chosen your moment to moment awareness. Did I choose with soul? Did I choose with ego? Did I choose with ego, 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 and then soul, soul, soul? Meanwhile, up here in the 6D, it's creating all the possibilities with each choice, right? The infinite possibilities. So to jump timelines or to get on your highest timeline is to align with soul more and more and more. But we have to make our way out of all that distortion that we've created and all of the distortions from the past, quote unquote, past from other lifetimes simultaneously happening of other awarenesses of you that are having experiences and also creating distortion in the overall consciousness field of who you are. All of that gets cleared as you move up. It's a lot of work, right? A lot of alchemy. So if you wonder why you're on the floor crying and sobbing for no freaking reason because a text wasn't answered, that's why. Because all it's doing is bringing up a whole bunch more like frequencies, whatever the story was in whichever lifetime, in order to get cleared. And I will talk also about, I might do a whole video on karmic miasmic imprints because we're also clearing those, but I may explain that in here if I don't get too long here. So I'm going to share again, I'm going to focus on this 4, 5, and 6, because this is what we're moving into from 1, 2, 3 into 4, 5, 6. And all of you are already in 4, at least because you're here, you're on this. And when you met your twin, you were actually activated fully into the coding of the perfection of all of that you are. Your twin matches that coding perfectly. Again, I talked about other people that come into your life. Some of them have more of the harmonic coding, and you can share keys with them and reassemble part of your DNA with them. You might have karmic lessons to learn that help to alchemize the karma, so you don't have to continue looping in karma. They may or may not have keys that you share. They might just be karmic lessons. And then you may also have total, non-player characters or whatever, possible incarnates or narcissistic types, very disconnected or not connected to soul or source, that get embodied by, not so good players from, other sides, or they're narcissistic themselves. And they can form catalyst for sure, but they can also try to pull you down into the lower frequencies to derail you. So it's important to have that discernment and to really pay attention to your energy and how you feel. If you're on this journey, it should not feel toxic or abusive in any way, shape, or form, or you're not on a twin flame journey. Okay. It doesn't mean it doesn't hurt, but it's always in the highest good that the soul works with the soul. This is two aspects of the same soul that are being lived out in two polarities. And they're living out in two polarities because we live in a polarity planet, right? That we have masculine and feminine, and that's what's going on, as you know. So I won't go into like the regular basics that you already know. here. I just want to, again, get this map. You come in, you down step to be in this body, but when you came in from dimension 6 to dimension, here we'll go like this, dimension 6 into dimension 4. This is time and space. These are all the possible timelines. Dimension 6. In the middle of that is dimension 5. That's where we're going. That's where Tara is. You're choosing, and there's a distorted, as this one's growing, watch you pushed out. Your twin flame is you pushed out. We'll link it on the end of this one. So you see that because I explained this a little bit more. This is your non-physical. This is your physical. This is the non-physical coming into the physical. And we choose at that level 5, at D5. We choose, do I want to go with soul? Do I want to go with ego? And this is what again, that moment to moment, does this feel contracting? Does this feel expansive? So we're listening to the energy because it plays out through the body. The subconscious, it's atomic, right? The soul you feel atomically in the body. It actually has an impulse to it. And so the stillness is where you're going to really be able to find that more and more. So you're choosing and you're creating here through the 4D to anchor into the 3D physical reality. Okay. And as you are on this journey, what's happening is you've activated all of your highest timeline. It's all got activated. And your ego, the identification of that we have here in order to stay safe, the ego is an epigenetic sheath around your DNA. Around each strand of DNA is where the ego is formed. That epigenetic sheath or epigenetic overlay, EGO, that partially, of course, that just keeps you safe. That's that which is in harmony, is not distorted. We need that. That's our personality. That's part of what makes us who we are here. But the part that is distorted, that's created shadow and just distortions all around it in these different fields. Again, it's all part of this whole narrative of these 4 videos here. That's what gets kicked out. So you meet your twin, your material and anti-material, you. Anti-material, material, coming into material. Those clash. They don't really clash. They crash into each other. And there's enough perfect harmonics that they fit. They fit perfectly. And they harmonize for as long as they can. But that ego, that overlay of all of those dimensions, now you could be 6-strand, or you could be 12-strand, whatever it is, anything unlike that perfect harmony, like your DNA repairs itself. It comes into like, it tightens up. Okay. The actual formation tightens up and that overlay gets dislodged. Anything that is not of the truth, capital T, anything that's illusory, distorted, gets kicked out into the field. And that's what creates the polarization, as you know. So our job is to clear the polarization or the kicked out, the dust, the dirt, to allow the sun to shine, the soul to shine. And then as that's happening, the feminine, so what happens is the feminine typically resides in the upper chakras. But when the feminine meets the masculine, it's like it drops the feminine's energy into the physical. And it wants to merge and blend into the wholeness of the Merkaba. So it's trying to rise up, as I did the Merkabas in the last video. It's wanting to rise up like this. And in doing so, it's clearing out the lower 3 chakras. The masculine is just holding steady here because you're collapsing timelines here. You're aligning to your highest timeline by clearing all the distortions so that, again, each choice that you've made that's created all those possibilities, now you're clearing those choices that were distorted. It's all getting cleared up. And so the timelines are coming more and more narrowed into that solid one timeline, that soul stream, that's super clean. So you're coming up, you're coming up, you're coming up. And then when you get to a certain point of clearing, right? And then that first Merkaba is created, and then the second one, those two, the Nethra, I think it's the Nethra first, and then the Hala. This is the Hala Merkaba. When that kicks up, that's when the masculine, the anti-material masculine, who is dormant up here, who's up in the upper chakras, but quietly, they're just, the printout over here of your physical, your 3D masculine is over here living life completely clueless as to the journey. You're the one who's awakened to the journey and clearing all this stuff, making this thing happen. Then they get activated. So they activate you first, because that anti-material and material clashed, and you being in the material had to sort that out. And then when you rise up and sort that out, it awakens the masculine. And then they start to clear. Then they've got to actually in the 3D, because their 3D self now is trying to rise up into the higher realms. So you had to rise up first and clear that and burn off that stuff. And then they're actually kind of coming down into into these, because they've been kind of dormant up there in the anti-material worlds. And now they're clearing up things in the 3D. And so that's kind of, again, how that works. You can watch that video to get a little bit more about it. So understanding that the journey here, the big picture here, is that we're coming together, and this is just, it's a thing. It's what is meant to happen. And so long as you can understand that we're working with energy, and that energy seeks to balance itself, and it wants to merge back up and into the one, and it wants to merge at each level. That's the in-breath that we're on right now. This is a window that's not going to come around again for another 52,000 years. Two more epochs around the central sun. Our universe around the central sun takes 26,000 years. Two more that before this window opens up again. That's why there's such an awakening. There's so much breaking down right now, and why we are pioneering this. If you're a true twin flame, particularly monadic twins, where you're feeling more called to mission, this is our mission. Our mission is to anchor these frequencies, these high unconditional love and above frequencies, into this planet to help restore the planet's grids. And we just do that by being. We might get called to travel certain places. We may be called to build parts of the new earth, new systems, new ways of being. And so coming into union within, and whether or not that looks like you're going to be, together outside, again, doesn't matter. Yes, it's super powerful when they do in physical, but not necessary. But when you come into that inner union, you have sacred union codes within you. Literally, this is part of what you are here for. This is not just some random thing that's happening. It's part of what you're here for. So I cannot implore you enough to, we got to get out of the mind, got to get out of the emotionality of this thing, and not try to fix this on the 3D. It's not a 3D game. Yes, you got triggered in the 3D, and it feels like this part of you that's not been integrated again. This 3D it's not that this 3D is not integrated, but the part of you that was out of alignment, that needs to be integrated, got triggered, and that's what's being mirrored in your twin. They're coming in here to show you your wholeness, to bring all those codes together. Well, that's done. That wholeness is there. You can no longer live in the 3D. If you're the divine feminine, you can't. It won't. Source will not let you. It's done. It's like boom, those codes are there. Again, this would be for 12-strand DNA. Now, if you're a split soul, you're going to have a very similar journey, right? But you don't have to go the full 12 strands. So you still have a foot in the 3D. You don't have to go full on, but you certainly can continue and do that. That's fine. Just saying, in order to come into inner union or a balance with your twin, you don't need to go fully there. Okay, that's fine. You're moving from incarnate to soul with your twin, whereas the monadic twins are going from soul and soul to oversoul level. And then that can continue as well. All right, I digress. So this 3D version of your masculine is truly is just a mirror of your level of alignment with your 6D. Okay, so the more you shrink those timelines and you come into your wholeness and into that highest timeline, that's going to play out in the twin, and there'll be no more coming back and forth stuff. The push-pull ends. When you come into inner union, the push-pull's gone. There's no more polarity there because it's cleared, that polarity part. Now, your 3D twin may still, again, need to alchemize their own karma from this lifetime. They might have things that they need to sort through and kind of get through in order to be able to join you in the 3D. But that's just a time delay. So you always want to stay in your own lane, because this is between you and a higher self of you, a higher level of you. And that integration, clearing the shadow, depolarizing the masculine feminine within you. Okay. You can look at this as your, anima and animus as well, right? That inner masculine or inner feminine, depending on your gender, that's not been integrated. You're integrating that. You're living in that. If you are divine feminine, 2/3 feminine, 1/3 masculine, that's going to be your own inner union. It's going to be about that ratio, vice versa for the masculines. So you come into that inner union, you're able to care for yourself, and you're magnetic. If you're a divine feminine, you are meant to be magnetized fully, bringing and drawing things into you. You are the negative polarity and you're pulling into you all of these things. And yet you have enough inner masculine to take the initiative, to be able to care for yourself, to meet your own needs, to feel safe, and so on, the basics, right? And then for the masculine, it's the opposite. They're going to be more in that masculine, but learning to tune into those higher realms, turning on the higher chakras so that they're reintegrating that feminine nature, the more intuitive nature, being able to create and pull in more and more emotionality, right? And allowing themselves to feel again. So as I was saying before, you're already strong in the upper chakras. You're learning to reintegrate your inner masculine, and then that gets shown through your masculine, and the opposite happens with them. And then the two will have a more of a polarized one or the other, right? A feminine and masculine that then operate as one system as well. So while you are in your own inner union, the two operate as one unit as well. And so knowing this, like really let this sink in. Really let this sink in. This is not about a relationship. This is about energetics, fully about energetics. And until that ego sheath that's been thrown, out, all that distortion, until that is cleared out, and you work with your beliefs so you're not continuing to create distortion or choose from the ego. You're clearing out the negative beliefs and you're collapsing the duality thinking. This is good, this is bad. I want to hang on to this, I want to push this away. All these behaviors to try to self-regulate, right? All this dysregulation creates that we do these things to try to control our environment. And again, other relationships too, triggering these different pieces. It's all about being in the moment. It's all about relaxing into, can I feel what this constriction? Can I feel through this constriction? Can I allow that to be okay without telling a story about it? Just allow it. I don't need to remember any story or his history. That just recreates the now with something that's not now anymore. It's over. It's not a thing anymore. Or with the anxiety of the future. Well, this happened before, so it's going to happen again. And I need to control the future now so that doesn't happen. I expect it to be like this and I expect it to be like that. And no, none of that. We only have right now. So listening to the body, feeling the constriction, recognizing that constriction is your body telling you this is out of alignment with how source sees this, how God sees this, and I need to choose differently. Getting still and quiet, stepping into the heart or mind with this coherence, get that breathing going, and then you can go to the mind at that point. Once you're calm and you've let go of the emotion, allowed that to alchemize and move out of you once and for all. And then, of course, knowing that it's going to come around at a different angle, a different flavor. This is an up spiral. It's not like it's gone, it's gone. You're not going to hit unworthiness one time. You're going to hit it hundreds of times probably on the way through this journey, clearing that out, collapsing the timelines to move up and station at the next level. Okay, with not only your twin, but others. Okay, every single little jump that you make affects the collective, not just the collective of twins, but the collective of all of your lives and all of humanity. We're all one. So again, after you let go of that emotion, then you can take it to the mind at that point or to your higher self, your higher mind at this time. I'm not talking about taking it to the ego. Take it to the higher mind and say, okay, there's something here that I'm supposed to learn. Not to go hunting for it, just ask for it. Ask for the answer, ask for the revelation if it's needed, and then come right back into presence again. And what's next for me to do? Now, when you have a great experience, again, don't ruminate on it and keep going, living it over. Oh my God, this happened. It was amazing. Oh, and telling everybody about it because now you're trying to cling on to this moment. You're going to start expecting another one. You're going to tell a story about that. Well, last time when this happened, and it was like this, and it felt so good. And this is the beginning of story. Nothing has meaning but the meaning that you give it. So if you can remember that and don't give everything meaning anymore, stay out of the head, stay out of the mind. Just allow the mind to stay quiet and still and just experience. Watch what's happening with the mind. Watch what's happening with the ego. Become stationed at the soul level while this is happening. Watch the things rise. Watch them leave you. Watch the revelation come in if it needs to. And then watch the next moment come. Feel the impulse to take the next step. Feel the impulse for the next step. And all this organically happens. Now, personally, I'm a hacker. I like to hack at these things. I don't know. I don't even know that it's impatience because It's not even impatience. It's just, what more can I do? The doing, of course, is also masculine, and I have very strong masculine. I'm very balanced. In general, I've always been very balanced, but for me, it was really learning how to step into that feminine and how to let go of the doing, doing, doing. So the hacking got to a certain point where I was like, there's nothing, I don't need to hack anything. This is just, the rest of it's coming, no problem. But I did. I wanted to hack at it. I wanted to see, okay, well, why is this still coming up? Maybe I can release some more of that. This is a real deep one. And my twin is also having a hard time with this. Maybe I should hack into that a little bit. How can I clear some more emotions proactively? So I talk about that I think it's part 4 on From Fear to Love. Actually, that's a really good series where I talk about all of this stuff, how to do this. So you might want to go back to that series from my first season. It's 4 parts. And depending on how early you are on the journey, they really are sequential. And I give lots of different tools and ways to do the work, how to do this work. But you don't have to go into old stories and old shadows and all that kind of stuff. That's not part of the map here. It's just understand the energetics of this. These two energies are wanting to merge again. There's distortion that wants to be cleared. They're going to keep bouncing together. I don't know if you remember that there's those two like little silver balls on the string that they go click, click, click like this. And then they get closer slowly, or one might stay still, and then it's like click, click, like this. This is how I see the twins. And they slowly come closer and closer and closer, and they trigger each other and they trigger each other because they're one unit, pushing out a little bit more from the DNA. You accrete a little bit more, pushes out a little bit more from that level, pushes out a little bit more. And as you are building your Hova bodies or your flame bodies, you're accreting more and more DNA, more of those shadows from those other levels. Again, as you go up, there's more to clear, to bring together. And so more of the shadows from other lives, from higher frequencies when you were in Atlantis or Lemuria or what have you, those come up to be cleared. So again, click, click, click. They just come together until it's all cleared, 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 cleared. And depending on where you split, but I say split, but where you downstepped, where your incarnation's right now, depending on where that originally downstepped, is going to tell you how many different layers you're clearing. This is key. So I am going to talk about, I know this is super long, but hopefully you're following me. Your soul is. So maybe give me a little thumbs up or something, or comment if you're following. That would be awesome. So, this is just soul streaming. This is just coming out. So, all right. So the karmic miasmic imprint, let me just clear this up because again, this is the whole territory of this. As you're moving up each of these levels, and you're reassembling the 12 per each soul, the 12 of each soul to the oversoul, and then the 12 oversouls to the avatar level, and even those 12 avatars to the solar rishi levels. All of this requires that, let's say you're an oversoul, you got 12 souls, and then those 12 souls, you're reassembling in a sense 11 more souls, or we'll say 10 besides you and your twin, 10 more souls, plus all of their incarnations, right? So like you're looking at the 144 souls that are coming together. And so there's a lot of karmic imprints. There's a lot of distortion that's getting cleared as this whole thing is coming into one. We're all one. We're on the in-breath. We're all merging. And so if you split before you came in here, of course, again, we all come in at the oversoul level, but if you split your 48 strand or 24 strand or whatever, there's a lot more to clear, right? But let's just say we're 12 strand and you're going from soul to oversoul level and you've got a lot more souls to clear. Think about this. This whole thing's about your oscillation. I might do a whole video on this, but I'll just try to touch on it here. As you rise in frequency, as you open up these dimensions and these flame bodies, and you're accreting more and more DNA, and your Merkaba is building, and you're able to be more multidimensional. Your frequency is rising, and so the oscillation. This is not a vibration. Vibration and oscillation are different. Vibration would be like a drip of water into a pond, and it ripples out, might hit things and ripple back, like karma, right? That's a vibration. That's sound. Light, on the other hand, oscillation. Let's say that water is in a big bowl and it's on a vibration, plate, or like a plate that's doing this. It creates an oscillation that creates a tension in the water. So the higher that frequency, the higher the tension is in that frequency. And so then when you go to drop a little bit of water, it won't even ripple out much, or might ripple just a little bit. But it gets overwritten by that oscillation because the oscillation's higher. So this is kind of how with boundaries, when your frequency rises, you don't have to set boundaries from the mind anymore and make all these agreements and control everything in order to set your boundaries. You just oscillate high enough that lower vibration people, things, stuff, illness, all the things can't reach you. They literally cannot penetrate through the oscillation of your field. Okay. Same with even protection from other stuff. Once you're oscillating these high levels, you don't catch the stuff. The people don't come around. They just don't bother you. You're living in a different planet, this is 5D Earth and eventually 7D Earth, right? So Tara and Gaia. So again, higher oscillation will always overwrite lower vibration or even high vibration. So back to this idea, if you're trying to clear something from another lifetime that's concurrent right now in Atlantis, which many of us are, many, many, many of us are, or Lemuria or whatever time, they were oscillating at around 700 in the time of Atlantis. 700. Okay, we're down, in 250, 350, 4, 5. We're working our way up to 5, 540, maybe 6, and then up, right? Well, those vibrations of distortion that were created when they're at 700, let's say they have a distortion that's at 600, 500. Those are going to show up for us as we reach these higher levels. We're not even going to come onto that karma or that karmic imprint, the backflow of that vibration. The vibration hits, it goes out, and then it hits different things and it comes back, right? It's just cause and effect. That's what karma is. It's coming back in, but all of this is happening in another lifetime from 700, and the karmic imprint is at 500. But you're just rising up to 500. Guess what happens when you rise to 500? That karma comes up and you're able to clear it. You don't know why the heck you're feeling it, but that's why it's coming up there. That's a karmic miasmic imprint. And we got lots of it. And we also have other distortions, other things that have been passed through other lives and ancestrally. And this is how those vibrations, the karma, the cause and effect, get stuck in these different layers as we move through them. And so the way out is moving up in oscillation in our core resonant frequency. As that goes up, it's going to pull up all these different distortions on every level, depending on how far you're going up, until it's all cleared. So again, there's those little, so you're going to have other people, your twin, other situations, all these things that are going to come in and trigger you until you are literally the pillar of strength in the center. That's the big picture of this whole thing. You come in as a huge consciousness, you downstep, 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 downstep on this whole out breath of experience. We got as dense as we could and as distorted as we could. We're now on the in breath, back to God, and we're reassembling everything, and all that crap needs to be cleared. And that's what it looks like. So staying out of the mind, out of the emotions, which is down here in the physical, this is not where it gets corrected. It will not get corrected here. It's just moving around the creation. We have to recreate. Now, when you get up into that station of 6D, from 5D, and you look up and you go, I'm aligning with my highest timeline. To align with your highest timeline is to align with soul only. Align with source consciousness only. When you do that, all that other stuff just gets cleared, and you're literally creating your highest timeline. And all the rest collapses. All those other timelines collapse. And then that also will be witnessed in the output of the twin. So that's the map and the territory of what this is. It's all energetic. I want you to remember that. It's happening, whether you like it or not. We are fighting it when we look to the twin and try to make agreements and arrangements about it should look like this, it should look like that. No. You get into 5D as quickly as possible, into that neutrality, and you work this. You work that energy, and we need you to, because look what's happening. We need to anchor as much of this light onto this planet right now. This love, light, love, same thing, right? This high frequency. And if you can come into union as well, if that's part of your plan, come into union, and in the physical as well, like multi-dimensional union. And don't do this just for the relationship, obviously. Like, that's just, now I want you to get the big picture here. Like, it's not going to end, But if you're just doing this to get into this relationship, you're going to have a 3D relationship where you have the possibility of being multidimensional. Like it just limits the whole thing. And then you're just kind of stuck in that. And then you just got to hypervigilate, is that a word? Become hypervigilant, to try to keep this, no, no, don't come together too soon. Let it come together naturally because it will. It naturally wants to. When you see that twin coming in and you're like, oh, that's fine. Just settle down, let it come in. The more you're holding the center, the more they're going to come in, and they still have to finish sorting out whatever they need to sort out. So when they leave again or whatever, just know it's part of the merging process. Think of these. In this case, you just become the one and they're bouncing on it until they're done and they can merge with you. And then you move to the next. And then you can move to the next levels together and go do the things that you're called to do by your soul. And purpose will, like all of these things will just unlock for you, and you'll be out of pain 100%. So that's a long one. I hope that you got value out of that. I hope it wasn't too all over the place and that I was able to keep it coherent enough for you. And now that all this framework is done, I really wanted to get the rest of this framework done. I'm not sure what's going to start streaming out from this point on. I think now I can really settle into that streaming that I'd like to do, the soul stream. I don't channel anything, just straight. And let's see what comes from here now that this landscape is together. But if I need to clarify anything more, please let me know. And I'll do some more clarification if something else downloads that I feel is really important to this landscape to understand the map and the territory that you're in. I certainly would love to share that, and I will. And in the meantime, I'm here to help you in any way. I do both coaching and also quantum energy balancing. I'm an inner-union balancing. This is what I do. And I've got coaching on all levels. And I think it is a little important to say that I've got background in nutrition and in fitness and in, purpose work, bringing your purpose to work or to life, doing coaching. All of these things are part of my whole history and my past. And all of these are part of becoming the embodiment, right? To be able to hold the higher frequencies and let them live through you. So if you need any assistance or anything, any of those levels, certainly on this journey, let me know. I would be more than happy to take a few minutes with you to discuss what might be a fit, see if we resonate, and go from there. Thank you so, so much for your attention, for your love, and for your comments and thoughts. And yeah, have just a beautiful rest of your day, and I will see you on the next one soon.